It's a crucial test for the U.S.-supported Iraqi government. Success here would renew hope that it can defeat ISIS. But if Tikrit becomes an ethnic bloodbath, Shiite against Sunni, Iraq will be one step closer to all-out sectarian war.
NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel warning the fight for Tikrit could turn into a sectarian bloodbath. This as Iran backs Iraq's military campaign to retake that city from ISIS. That city, the hometown of Saddam Hussein, seen as strategically critical to eventually retaking Mosul from ISIS. Welcome back to America's Forum. From Newsmax Washington, we're pleased to be joined by conservative strategist Jack Bergman. And on the phone from Capitol Hill, my old colleague, Congressman Walter B. Jones, Jr. of North Carolina. Walter B., it's always good to have you here on America's Forum.
JD, it's always my pleasure, and we are dear friends from years back, and you're a former Tar Heel, too.
That's right, even though we both backed the Wolfpack of NC State, just to get that straight. Apart from the fun and games and in all seriousness, the speech coming later today on the Hill, want to get your take on what's happening on the ground right now in Iraq. Iran stepping up, supporting Iraq in this fight. Walter B., it seems like there are two bad choices for the U.S., Iranian control or ISIS control there in Tikrit and Mosul and other areas of Iraq.
Well, JD, that brings me back to the fact that, I came out against the Iraq war about 2 years after President Bush decided we needed to go into Iraq. And whether we could argue the point of Saddam Hussein, but we know that he had fought the Iranians years before, because when President Reagan was in office, we supported Saddam Hussein to fight the Iranians. And here now, because of it going to war, we have created an opportunity for the Iranians to have more and more influence in Iraq. And that's really it. And you're right. I mean, it is a total chaos there. And what has happened, these other countries are coming in and seeing if they can expand their influence and fighting ISIS.
Congressman Jack Bergman here. Let me ask you a question. Do you think Iran is concerned, are the Iranians concerned that with ISIS surging, you may see this giant Sunni superstate that could encompass Iraq, Syria, Jordan? Maybe the Iranians who are Shia are starting to react to that. Are we seeing the beginnings of the new Mideast forming?
Jack, I would agree with your assessment totally, and I do think you're exactly right. We are seeing the new dynamics of the Middle East, and as you said, Jack, and I would agree with you, beginning to organize and form, and I agree with you totally, and this is why, again, J.D. knows my position. I mean, at one time, Saddam Hussein, we didn't really like him, but we worked with him for the interests of the American people. Now we've got chaos in Iraq. Look at Obama. He bombed Libya to take out Gaddafi. We got total chaos there. So our foreign policy leaders have certainly failed the American people over the past 20 years.
About 4.5 minutes remain in our conversation, gentlemen. Walter, we understand it hasn't gotten a lot of mainstream media play, but late last week, I believe Friday, there was essentially a document dump. The documents captured when we in turn killed Osama bin Laden show secret ties with Iran and al-Qaeda. The files show a top al-Qaeda cell transitioning through Iran and some of its members receiving safe haven there. With that in mind, why should President Obama be negotiating with Iran right now?
Well, J.D., I would only say this. If we don't try to go the diplomatic way, then we just have a world war, and we have bombs dropping all over the world, blowing up. I guess if that's the solution that some people want, well, I think they in time will get that solution. I would rather, for a president, I'm not a big fan of Obama's. You know that. I've been critical. I've talked about impeachment. But I would tell you, when you stop talking, the next thing is war.
But Congressman Jack Bergman here, let me follow up on that. It would seem to me the administration, by its own admission, not by Republicans thinking, this isn't J.D. and I sitting here thinking and postulating, by its own admission, the administration is saying that it's just a question of when the Iranians will have a bomb, not if. The if is off the table. Given that, aren't we already to the point where some kind of bombing or war by the U.S. and or Israel is inevitable?
Well, let me read very quickly, Jack. It's an answer to you, and this is from the GOP Marches to Endless War by Pat Buchanan, February 27th of 2015. Should Bibi and his Republican allies succeed in closing the ramp to a diplomatic solution, we will be on the road to war, which is where Bibi wants us to be. That's Pat's opinion, but I somewhat agree with it, because what in the world have we achieved in Iraq? What have we achieved in Libya? We have achieved total chaos. And at least Saddam, I have a picture of Donald Rumsfeld shaking the hand of Saddam Hussein because Reagan asked Rumsfeld to go to Iraq and thank him for fighting the Iranians. We have created this opportunity for the Iranians.
It is also worth noting, Walter, that it was our first president, George Washington, who said we have no permanent allies, we have no permanent enemies. Instead, we only have permanent interests. With that in mind, a minute 30 remaining. Here comes Prime Minister Netanyahu today to speak to a joint session of Congress. You've made clear your skepticism about what is transpiring. Will you be there in the House chamber today? And what type of reception will Prime Minister Netanyahu receive in speaking to the joint session?
JD, I will watch it I'm not protesting. I just get more out of it by sitting in the office and listen very carefully. I've not been to hear a world leader speak in probably 10 years. If I could, very quickly, you mentioned George Washington. I have always given it as my decided opinion that no nation has a right to intermeddle in the concerns of another, that everyone has a right to form and adopt whatever government they like best to live under themselves. George Washington in a letter to Jamesford Road, 1796.
Congressman Jack Burkman here once again. I think we have just 30 seconds remaining. In the final seconds here, I'm hearing that there's a big surprise in this speech today. Is Netanyahu going to announce that the Iranians in fact have the bomb? Have you heard that in the House chamber?
Well, Jack and JD, I'm going to sit here in this office very carefully. I get more out of watching it on TV than being there when people are jumping up and hooting and hollering. And I want to get something out of this because this is a world leader. I respect Israel and their right to exist. And I'm very interested to hear what he's got to say.
And we all will be listening to that. Congressman Walter B. Jones, Jr. of North Carolina. As always, Walter B., we thank you for your time. Later in this program, Jack and I will be talking with Rabbi Abe Cooper about ISIS and ISIS threatening Twitter. Right now, we are going to step aside because Miranda Khan has a Newsmax Now update for us.